These are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. We will get started in about 1 minute. Today is Tuesday, August the 8th. And before we get started, I would like everyone to take just a few minutes to read over the disclaimer. Excuse me. This is a training room. It is not a trade along with Gail room. And you should never trade with money you cannot afford to lose. That's also known as being undercapitalized. So if you'll take just a few moments to read over the disclaimer, it is for my protection as well as for yours. And then we'll get started this morning. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I do hope everybody read over the disclaimer. And as you can see, I've got NinjaTrader open. And I have a market analyzer. It is for the 45-minute. It tells you right there in the lower left corner. I also have a 180, a 45, a 12, and a 3-minute chart. And this is on the NASDAQ as well as the Dow. I do have the ES open on another window, but as you probably know, the indices typically move in the same direction. So we're just going to kind of watch it. It seems like the 180 ATR is kind of holding price up at the moment. What I don't like is if we were to go in a trade, we would have overhead resistance right at 59.36. On the 3-minute, you can see that we're at a congestion dot. So I would actually like to see it come back to about 59.16 on the NASDAQ as it currently stands. Do you also see that the stochastics is overextended to the upside? Again, not a place I would want to enter a long position. Over on the Dow, pretty much the same thing. You're overextended right now. Even though this ATR on the 180 is offering support for price to move up, again, I would not enter being overextended on the 3-minute. You're also at a congestion dot on the 12-minute. This is typically where you will find that price will come down, probably to around 22.036, which coincides with this yellow line here. And then it may go up. But right now, no good trades. While we're waiting on something on the futures, we can go look at Forex. The one I'm really watching is the British pound yen. You can see that you're overextended on all 3 time frames. So what I would like to see is for this ATR to be flipped, turned to blue, and then a retest of it, and that would be my entry point into the British pound. And again, that's a pattern that just constantly plays out in the market. Let's go look at the Aussie dollar. You can see that the Aussie dollar was at the ATR earlier, and that actually formed a reversal bar, which is being confirmed here. It will need to break through this ATR, but the 15-minute is pretty much telling you it is. Now, do you see how this is oversold at the moment on the 15-minute? That means typically it's going to come back and test this ATR, and that's actually what I would like to see. Just for it to, move down and then come back and test this ATR. And then that would potentially give us an entry. It will also make a lower high on the 60-minute typically. On the euro yen, Not seeing anything on the 240 that would tell me the direction. It should actually break through this congestion dot. Not seeing confirmation on that on the 60-minute or on the 15-minute, so not anything I would want to trade. I do think the euro is going down. What I would like to see on the euro is for this ATR to be flipped and then a retracement back to this ATR on the 15-minute. Again, you see that you were at the ATR on the British pound. What I would like is to see a retracement on the 60-minute because you're overextended on the stochastics. And I would wait for that to occur before I went short on the British pound dollar. On the USD CAD, again, you see it was at an ATR on the 240. What I would like to see is either a retracement on the 15 or a retracement on the 60-minute. Again, back to the ATR because the ATR is always where I'm going to take my position, okay? So I'm not going to enter in the middle of nowhere, okay? I want to enter at the ATR because that's your lowest point of risk. Let's go look at the Swiss franc again. You see that it came back to the ATR and is now going up. You were at a congestion dot. You could have taken it at that congestion dot. As it is right now, we have to wait for a retracement, especially with the 15-minute being overextended to the upside. On the USD yen, now this has flipped the ATR, but I would still anticipate a test of this ATR. This is what normally happens. So in other words, I think this is going to move up, and then I would be looking for a position to the downside. It's also confirmed with the stochastics being overextended at the moment. Now, the really cool thing about the scanner is that anytime it's at an ATR, it's going to pop up and let me know. Okay? So that helps you not miss trades. And I could even have a 15-minute in there if I wanted it. So right now it's more of a waiting game. Really want to see this come back and test this ATR at 59.18. Any questions while we're waiting here? Okay, there was a comment on the email made by someone who just purchased some of your indicators, including, I think, the trend ATR, and he mentions about the color change, then taking a trade. Would you talk about that? Um, yeah, basically what you're talking about, I think, Bonnie, is where it breaks through the ATR and then it will come back and test the ATR. Very similar to what it did over here. It flips the ATR, comes back to test the ATR. Those are the entries that you want. Because what it is, it's testing for resistance to push this market down. Okay, in this case, we're waiting for it to actually come back and test support to see if that support area is going to hold price up. And it is a pattern that we see all the time. You see it right here. It flips to blue, okay, moves up, comes back to test this ATR. These are your entry points. Okay, and that's just the way the market actually moves. If you've sat and watched the market as long as I have, then you know it'll make a low, then it'll make a high, then, well, I don't like that color. Let me get another color here. Okay, so it moves up and then it comes back and then it moves up and then it comes back and then it moves up. You know, these are the patterns. The market moves in waves. So that's what we're trying to capture. Okay. And, just the way it works is it comes back to test this ATR. How do you determine the settings for each market and time frame? ATR, I use the same thing. I don't change it. I think when you start trying to change it for every market, you're trying to curve fit it, and it usually won't work. Yeah, I use the same thing on every market I trade. I don't change it. When you start making a lot of changes, typically what will happen is you'll forget, oh yeah, I need to use this on this particular market, on this particular time frame, and then it just kind of screws up. So I just leave mine. The less I have to change, the better off I am. On Forex, I do use a 15, 60, and 240 just because they're common time frames for Forex. Yeah, it's true for all of my indicators. I don't change them. I do have the inputs in the indicators if you want to go around changing them, but I just don't do it. Now, looking at the NASDAQ 180-minute chart, I really anticipate 5937.7. being exceeded just because this is a congestion area. And you see it went up, came back, went up to the ATR, up to the congestion dot, came back to the ATR. Normally this pattern indicates it'll take out that congestion dot. Is the recent whippiness of the market, the NASDAQ market, causing you to stay out of it and trade other markets? Pretty much. I might go in when it's at an ATR, but especially like with binary options, they don't even open on the NASDAQ for 2-hour binaries until 8 o'clock. So it really kind of depends on when price is at an ATR. This is a great example at 8 o'clock this morning. Do you see how this was at the ATR? And it was on the way back to this ATR over here, and I knew that. You could have easily taken, one strike out of the money on that. Okay? Even though now it's probably going to go back up, you could have done that. So it really just depends on where it comes in at. And right now it's coming back and it's testing to see if 59.20 is going to support it. Do I still trade after 3 a.m.? Usually I get up around 2 or 3 and start trading. If anything is moving and I can get a decent binary, I will. Now, this is the point. When I say this coming back to this ATR, I actually start looking at potential binaries. And in this case, I'd probably go out until 12 o'clock. 11 o'clock is probably going to be too short of a period. Do I quit after 11 a.m.? Not necessarily. It depends on how the market's moving. And sometimes I'm taking a nap between 11 to 1 o'clock. But then I'll come back and look at 2 o'clock. A lot of times I'll trade Asia. Basically, if I see the market moving, I'm probably going to trade it. Now, this is something, to me is very important. You see this is at 528.8 and we're currently at 522. And then you have an ATR over here at 59.35. Now, why is that important? Because when I start to look at the binaries, I know that I want to get a binary that is under that 528. So right now you could get 59.29 for 23, or you could get 59.25 for 43. The problem with that is the 59.29 is going to have to break through this area. So what you're weighing is the risk, okay? And it's already moved on me and now I can't get in it. Okay, I've got hour and 40 minutes. I'll go ahead and do this one. That's what the other one was at when I was trying to explain something to y'all. So I guess I'll take the other one. Now, the one thing that I do not like about this one is the fact that 59.33 is above that ATR. Jay, yes, I am recording it. Okay, so that is the one thing that actually kind of bothers me. I would have wanted this one at 59.29, but I didn't like the risk on it because by the time I could have got into it, it was already at $40. And very seldom do I risk $40 on any binary option. And I do have time on this one. I have about an hour and 20 minutes. But here is the problem on that one. Okay, I just got through telling y'all it will flip the ATR and it will come back and test the ATR and then it will move up. Okay, if it comes up here and it flips the ATR, what's going to happen? It's going to come back to test the ATR. That will put it under my strike. Do y'all understand that? In other words, the same pattern that I told you would develop here will actually roll into this time frame. Do y'all understand that? Now, because I get distracted, I'm going to go ahead and set a profit target on that. We are long, so I'm setting an $85 profit target. If I notice it, I may change it, but as it stands right now, we'll leave it right there. Additionally, if you notice over here on the Dow, we never came back to the ATR, which is why I'm not trading the Dow. This one did exactly what I thought it would do. This one has not given me an entry yet. We should be getting retracements on the Dow and the ES pretty shortly here. Those are support and resistance from the 45-minute chart. Yes, it's still true, Bonnie. I prefer minute charts because I want to know exactly how long I have for a price bar to form. I'm very time oriented, so I like the minute charts. And there's no right or wrong chart. It just really is dependent on what you like the most. What makes the most sense to you? It's an indicator for NinjaTrader that draws them on there. They're NinjaTrader charts. If you look in the lower left-hand corner, it tells you NinjaTrader. Tradestation looks totally different. Yeah, I like NinjaTrader 8. Okay, you can see that the Dow went back to the ATR over here, and I did one strike above price. It was at 22,072. I went to 22,083. I am going to go ahead and set the same profit target because I do the same thing day in and day out, and I'm going to place the order. Now, I'll go ahead and set the profit targets in case I get busy in the trading room and I forget about my trade. The one thing that you do need to pay attention to is, does it break through this congestion dot on the 45-minute? This is saying that this should go up further because it just made a pivot on the stochastics. Does everybody see that? So, I think that it will go up at least to the 22,083. We'll have to wait and see whether it does. Okay. Does the dual time frame give you the ability to bring higher time frames info onto your chart without screwing up the chart? Well, I mean, I've got the dual time frames on my chart right now, body, and they're not screwed up. I sent out a template for everybody to use. If you don't know what you're doing, yeah, you could potentially screw it up. So now, one thing about this, I do know that this stochastics is overextended on the 12-minute chart. So, we may have to take profits early on that just because this is overextended. Okay, the same thing over on the Dow 12-minute. We may have to take profits early. But, I'm thinking that this is going to push it up further. Do y'all understand that? I would like this to get to 59.37. And on this one, I would like it to get to 20.095. That's where I would be looking for it to go to. If you were looking to make a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio, you could exit right now. You can see the risk was 25.25, and you have at least made that. Do y'all understand that? I would actually see how it broke through this congestion dot, or it's breaking through the congestion dot on the Dow. I would like to see that happen over here. It hasn't yet, but I'd like to see it come in. Sorry about that, Dave. Thanks. When I get into it, I forget my microphone's off. I did go ahead and take profits on the NASDAQ simply because we're so overextended on the stochastics. It wasn't going to make a big difference to me on that one. I had more than 1.5 times what my risk was. You get nervous on the Dow. The risk on that was 30.25. I would like to make at least 30.25 on that one. Um, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, if you wanted to go ahead and take profits, you could. I mean, you can't go wrong taking profits, in my opinion. So this still has an hour and 12 minutes on that one. I do think that the Dow will break through. I mean, the NASDAQ will break through these congestion dots, but I'll take another entry when that happens. I would like to see the Dow push up just a little bit more. For those that like to trade the ES, do you see the twin formation? This is the same twin formation that we saw on the Dow. And of course, it moved up off of that. And if you know divergence, you also had divergence there as well. You were making higher lows, lower low on the stochastics. Same thing on the Dow, higher lows, lower lows on the stochastics. These are repeatable patterns that play out all the time in the market. I would really like to see the NASDAQ close above that 45-minute ATR to take another trade. You really don't want to go into that right at the 45-minute ATR. While we're waiting on these, I'm actually going to go grab me some coffee and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to go ahead and exit this one for the same reason. I don't like that stochastics. Okay. So now we just have one position remaining, and that is the British pound. And this one still has, I'm sorry, I've got to move around these screens for everyone. We still have about 4 minutes, but it looks like that is going to close as a reversal bar. I would really like to see it break through this ATR here. Okay. And this is the only aggressive entry I took today. And it is very important that you realize I only took that because you are oversold and the ADX is at 83. That is really the combination of these two with this reversal bar indicates that more likely than not, this is going to come back to this ATR. And I had the opportunity to take a very low risk binary option. Does everybody understand that one? And if it gets to this ATR and it does not break through it, then I will probably exit that binary option early. Does everybody understand that? The ADX is overextended, so yes, I am using the ADX combination with the stochastics and a reversal bar. It's not one indicator that I'm using to take that. It's a combination of things I see on the market. All three indicators, that's correct. What about the pivot low on the US CAD? A pivot low in and of itself does not mean a lot to me. The pivot low was back here because it was at the ATR, also formed a pivot low. But remember, and I don't care what market y'all are trading, if you're using the THD indicators, and I stress this all the time to you, if it goes through the ATR, it will come back to test that ATR, okay? It is at this point that I would enter, okay? So here you got one entry here, you had another entry here because that ATR supported it, and then it moved up. Now you would be looking for it to come back to this ATR. Now, could you take that? Yes, except for the 60-minute, just flip the ATR. What's it going to do? Come back and test an ATR. Okay? Does everybody understand that? You don't take it up here, you take it down here. That's your lowest point of risk, regardless of whether you're trading a binary option or you're trading, the actual Forex market or the actual futures market. That's your lowest point of risk. Plan for the worst, anticipate the best. In this pattern, it forms all the time. It is a repeatable pattern. Now, this was probably going to make a higher low, and that's okay. I'm not going to panic over it if it makes a higher low, as long as this reversal bar stays intact. And I actually anticipate that high being taken out. That's what reversal bars do. That's right. Break, test, that's it. On Forex, I use a 15-minute. On futures, I use a 3-minute. You see, it just broke the ATR on the 45-minute, broke through on the 12-minute. I'm still expecting a test of this 12-minute. It may even test this 45-minute. Same thing on the NASDAQ. That's the reason I'm not in another trade. Not to mention you had a reversal bar. Reversal bars usually retrace at least 50%. And you might think these little details are not important, but they are extremely important. In my opinion, the details is what makes it. $60-minute reversal bar. On the British pound yen, Bonnie, 60-minute reversal bar. And remember, on the NASDAQ and on the Dow, there was still an hour remaining in those. Futures is 3 minute for entry. Sometimes I do a 12-minute. It just depends on the setup. The 12-minute usually correlates to a 180-minute. 3-minute correlates to a 45-minute. That's the reason I have them lined up like I do. If you also notice, you're getting volume divergence. You also see that the sellers are stepping in because the delta is red. Again, just another indication that I should have exited that trade, which I did. So now I realize that I make this seem really, really easy. But one thing that you need to realize is I have been doing this for a long time. And I pretty much live and breathe my charts. It takes a lot of practice to get there. That's what I'm saying. A lot of traders will try for a long time, but and this is one of the things too. If you're trying this and then you're popping over and trying this over here and then you're popping over and trying this over here, chances are you're not going to get there because you're not really focused on one thing. You have a lot of knowledge, but you're not becoming a master of any one piece of knowledge. You're just jumping around. And I know what that's like because I did it. I think I went through every indicator in the book. And most of them didn't make sense to me. So But again, I had a lot of knowledge, but I didn't master anything. And when I designed my own indicators, not only did I code them, but I mastered them. And I mastered price bars. If you cannot master price bars in itself, it's going to be hard. You have to be dedicated to something. I always use candlesticks. I'm not straining my eyes to see a little tick mark. And that's what you have to do. If you don't use candlesticks, you're having to strain your eyes, in my opinion. Um, Now this is a 3-minute chart. This little bitty tick mark over here represents the close. Which one is easier to see? Okay. Well, to me, it's a candlestick. And again, trader preference. Which one makes most sense to you? That's what you use. See how it's hesitating right there at that congestion dot? See the RSI, the stochastics is at 91. And you see how sellers are coming in on that bar. There's also divergence on it. Same thing over here. Same thing on the stochastics. This is usually when it's going to come back to this ATR. Now that ATR may pull up to about here. That would be normal, okay? It's what we call time decay. But that's the reason I did not want to stay in that trade for the remainder of the binary until noon. You had all but like $10. Take your profit and run. And the $10 being the difference between where I exited and where my profit target is. Sometimes I forget to tell you the little details. Now, I've pointed out that the ADX is overextended. I don't have it on my chart because I can see it up here. And I also know from experience, if price gets to about here, that's when the ADX is going to give you that magenta peak. Okay? I mean, it's just the way it works. So if I added the ADX, it does come in quicker on Multicharts and Tradestation versus NinjaTrader, although you can't update it intra-bar. So if you watch this magenta peak is going to form. The significance is that usually we'll push it back to this ATR. Now, in addition to that, you're also getting a reversal bar on the 240, but the 240 is not overextended on the ADX and it's not overextended on the stochastics. That is not the same setup. You are getting trend divergence, which could push it back to the ATR, but you're not getting an ADX setup where it's going to more than likely push it back. And I want to put my countdown timer on this. Do any of your indicators give you a false signal if you have it set to print before the bar closes? Sure. That's going to happen on any indicator because it's using the current price as the close. So if you have it update intra-bar, you're going to get false signals. But I can live with false signals because I know how my indicators work. I know whether it's true or not. In other words, why is it doing my countdown? Because I have Tradestation and Multicharts on update intra-bar, but on NinjaTrader I don't because it takes up more resources. And I'm just going to point this out. Do you see how you're oversold on the British pound? But you're not overextended on the ADX. I'm not looking at that. Out of all of them, it'd probably be Multicharts because of the scanner. I think the scanner is pretty awesome. Okay. Our order was filled on the British pound yen. As you can see, there's no order here, so we got our order filled. It was sitting at 85. So that gave us 3 positive trades, and I'm done for the day. That simple. Any questions? I did record it, Dave. But I mean, they were kind of like standard entries. I'll accept the British pound yen. It was a little bit more aggressive, but I couldn't pass it up because it was overextended on both stochastics and ADX. And I had the opportunity to get a really cheap one that was within 6 ticks of where price was. NinjaTrader, Bonnie, for futures. And that's so I can keep up and make sure all the indicators are working like they should. The NASDAQ and the Dow trade, Dave, both of them were at an ATR. You did have an entry at 8 o'clock this morning because it tested the 180 ATR and couldn't break it. So, I mean, you could have went out for a daily on that one. Yeah, because I trade more Forex than I do futures. It doesn't mean I can't trade futures. I mean, I showed that this morning, but I prefer Forex most of the time just because it moves 24 hours a day. There's always a trade in Forex. Just a matter of finding which one. Well, I've always gotten up at 2 o'clock. Between 2 and 3. That's why I take a nap at, between 11 and 1. Besides, market don't move usually. My body naturally wakes up at that time. So, it has for years. So, I have an internal alarm clock, I think. Okay, any other questions? Well, I mean, there are trades any time of the day, whether it's on the indices or whether it's on Forex. It's just a matter of waiting for the setup. And if you can wait for the setup, make sure your time frames are in alignment, then you can really get some good trades. And once you learn to do it with one contract, well, then you just compound your contracts according to your risk parameters. If you buy the package, it only works on one platform, correct? That is correct. You can add a second platform. It's half price to add the second platform. But, especially with Forex, and I do recommend people start out with Forex because your data fees for Forex, IQ Feed has it for, I think it's $30 a month. So if you're new, my God, learn on Forex for $30 a month. Because once you get into the futures data, it's a lot more expensive. unless you have a provider that has the special on. But most new traders that I work with are trading binaries, and they're not opening up a futures account, so going with Forex is the best option for them. Any other questions? No, you actually own the indicators. Now, if you want updates, then you'll have to pay a renewal fee. Um, you know, and mainly that's if I design new indicators or something and you want to upgrade, then you'll have a renewal fee. Yeah, but how many trades do you have to take with them, Dave? Because their slippage is horrendous. Can't mention no names. Might get in trouble. More trouble than I'm already in. Can't do that, Bonnie. I'll get in trouble because I'm recording it and putting it on YouTube. Wow, Dave. But now, who is that with, Dave? Which broker are you using on that one? And also what market, because I think that's going to make a difference. Yeah, but what feed are you using in the other one? Is it the same feed from them? Yeah, I think they are, Bonnie. Oh, okay, Dave. It may be because supposedly, everybody's using NinjaTrader because of their Superdome, and you're supposed to get less slippage. I've always traded through my broker, so, and usually I have another data provider other than my broker just to see. Conspiracy theory. All right, any other questions, guys? All right, Dave, do that. All right, if there's no other questions, I'm going to go take my nap. I hope everyone enjoyed the session. I did record it and I will post it on YouTube later today. It'll probably be late this evening when I get it posted because I've got meetings all afternoon. So I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and we'll have another trading session in about 2 weeks. Okay? Oh, yeah, and tomorrow I am doing the crash course on trading Forex binary options in the Nadex webinar room. So I suggest you sign up for that one. All right, everybody have a wonderful day.